Stick with us today, and you're going to learn how Sal was able to do things to where he was able to get out of the operations in the day-to-day, how he grew his team with a ton of virtual assistants. So he and I both really like our VAs in the Philippines. We're American, just like everybody else. But you're going to learn the real deal on how to scale an agency. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today on the Coach U Show, we have an absolute legend in digital marketing. Sal Steffano is one of the few people that has scaled his agency to the point that he doesn't have to be involved. And he's been so good at it. He started a cryo agency, a solar agency. Before you were doing this like pole GIS mapping stuff. So lots of different agencies in lots of different areas. And there's a lot of people out there talking about how to build an agency. They're trying to sell you courses on agencies and whatnot. Sal doesn't sell any courses, so
no courses for sale. Sorry.
He's here to help you today. So, Sal, so glad to have you here in the studio today.
Great to be here, Dennis.
Thanks for coming by in Vegas. We have all sorts of things that happen. So,
it's Vegas for you, right?
So Sal's been through a lot. You can see that he's a kind soul, but his dad died at an early age, and he had to struggle. So tell us about that, and how did that affect your view on business?
Yeah, so when I was like about 15 years old or so, maybe 16, just driving along one day, and we're in a buddy's car, and we're on like this residential street, right? Nothing crazy. And we're going this way, somebody's coming this way, they go to turn, hit us on the side of the car. And basically, my dad said hit the windshield, and fortunately didn't have a seatbelt on either. And so, I remember we got hit, and I remember I don't know, necessarily passing out, but I hit my head against the back, passenger side back seat. Mm-hmm. And so I remember just waking up kind of dazed and confused, didn't know what was going on, found out I had a concussion. And I saw my dad in the seat just kind of limped over. I thought he was dead at the time. Thankfully, at that time he wasn't, but he had unfortunately broke his neck. And then find out a few years later, he actually damaged his frontal lobe. So when somebody has that damage.
He broke his neck. Okay, I misread that.
Yeah, so, but he might as well have almost died that day because it completely destroyed his quality of life, everything with our family. Yeah. We went from basically living on the beach to living in the hood overnight. Yeah. Left school, worked 2-3 jobs, and that's kind of how I got into digital marketing because, working these jobs, serving tables and all that.
You were scrappy.
Yeah, we had, I learned how to fix computers and phones, and I remember the Loca repairs on the old, Samsung Galaxies, doing all that stuff. And, just do what you could to make some money. I remember looking at the internet, just man, if I could just make money from this internet from home. This was before there was any real courses. Yeah. This was before
before Ty Lopez and all that.
Right, before Ryan Dice and his potato cannon and teaching everybody about lead magnets. And this was way before. This was back in the days where people with SEO would have a blue background and put blue text and you get ranked for that kind of stuff. I remember. Really, the real spam days, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember after about 2 years. Took me 2 years to make my first $1, but every time I got home, and I'd work doubles, 12, 14 hours, but I would spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours just researching online, stuff like the Warrior Forum and Black Hat World, Digital Point, the old forum days, right? And so I started doing some affiliate networking, and eventually, after 2 years, I finally made my first check. It was $40 something bucks, affiliate commission.
Right. Most people make nothing.
Right, but it was you know what? That moment, I got that check in that mail. I was I did it. I wasn't proud of everything I had to do to get that far, but I made it happen. It was real. Yeah. I was okay, this is not just some BS, because at that time everybody's oh, go get a real job, you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? You think you can make money online.
You guys remember how you felt when you made your first $1?
Best experience, right? And so I went from that to that didn't really last too long for me. I never really got too big into affiliate. I think the most money I made in affiliate commissions, that was making a bot for a certain website.
I just don't do one quick thing. I think the sound is on. Make sure it's okay. Good. I'm very finicky about sound. I need to make sure the sound is working. You guys, if you're doing a podcast, double check the sound like 3 times.
Oh, is this the worst? You know, man, you spend a whole session.
No,
and all of a
that's
sudden
happened.
there's no.
Yeah, literally. I'm not going to tell you who some of the people were that we like. 6 years ago, we had somebody that it's very hard to get someone at this caliber on our podcast, and we had a great interview for an hour and a half. Lost the audio.
Man.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure, you figured out something to recover from it somehow, right?
Nope,
No,
it was gone.
It was gone.
It was
done.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him back.
So that's why we have 2 sources of audio here, just to be absolutely sure.
There you go, right?
Yeah, we've got a Rode NTG5.
Well,
And
you know what that reminds me of?
Yeah.
So this is what I tell my clients now,
Yeah.
okay? Because I work with people outside my agency, consulting that, one-on-one. And what I tell people is, don't work with me because I'm some kind of genius. I'm not. I'm stubborn as a mule. I'm hard-headed. But for about 10 years, Dennis,
Yeah.
I didn't make like really any money. I made money enough to like barely survive,
Yeah.
right? Take care of my family.
Yeah.
But it was once I, started documenting all the things that went
You hear
wrong,
that?
and I turned them into systems and processes, and that's when I realized like that's the key.
It is.
And so crazy enough,
Yeah.
if you want to have like the best systems and processes, you should hire somebody who's completely unqualified to do the job. Somebody who's kind of an idiot, to be honest, because
Lazy people like me, right?
they do
We'll figure
everything
it out.
wrong,
Yeah.
right? If you can build your system so tight
Yeah.
and so accurate and detailed that anybody
Yeah.
can do it, even that guy, right?
Yeah.
Now you have an awesome system.
Yeah.
And now you can go hire the right person
Yeah.
and put them through, and their job's going to be a breeze.
Yeah.
But too many times we try to hire people and expect them to solve our problems, which you can, if you're hiring like a C-level exec or you're partnering with a certain company and
Yeah.
doing strategic partnerships and
Yeah.
things. But your typical employee is not going to have that level of accountability
Yeah.
and know-how. At the end of the day, most of them, they want to come to work, put their hours in,
Yeah.
make their paycheck, and
Yeah.
go live their life.
The
They're not like
workers.
us.
The workers instead of the architects. The
Yeah.
employees versus the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and you need them, and so anyways, we can talk about that all day.
Yeah. I've done some snooping on Sal, and this man here understands SOPs. So we can talk about strategy and having the right mindset and working hard and working 10 years before you start to make some real dollars. And the last 2 years, how he built a 7-figure agency with COVID out of nothing. But the real thing that I want you to see is that when you see someone like Sal, who has put together processes that are detailed on how they have these 5-minute follow-ups, right? Tons of people and tons of processes and software, his processes on how he hires and trains VAs, where it's a gauntlet of many, many different steps. That's the ongoing advantage. It's not that he's working super hard. In fact, this guy, his calendar is mostly clear, and he could just take 4 or 5 days off if he wants, just to do nothing, right? If he wanted to.
Mostly how my calendar is, until I get
Because
excited about something, and then I just put all kinds of stuff on my
Yeah.
calendar. But like that's the beautiful part, right? That
Yeah.
of like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I wouldn't put this on my worst enemy to become an entrepreneur if they're not the right person,
Right.
Because it will drive you absolutely insane. Even if you are the right person,
Yeah.
it still will, but you can deal with it a
Yeah.
lot better. But at the end of the day, shoot, I forgot where I was going with that. What do you say?
Well, you're putting all these SOPs in place, and it takes years to get to that point before you can live that laptop lifestyle. Because Sal can do what he wants to do now because he put in that time to delegate all this stuff out. If he had to respond to every single inquiry, if he had to talk to every single client, every kind of random, just heartbreaking thing that happens in an agency, right? An agency will just suck the soul out of you because of clients and problems and all sorts of little things that just support, training, refunds.
You took
right?
the words out of my mouth. There's a lot of freedom to it, right? But it can be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It can put you in chains
Yeah.
very easily. And I think that's one of the hardest things. Like, everybody talks about scaling up, but people, like, they don't understand what that really means.
Yeah.
Like, the heartache, the pain you got to go through, because it's
Yeah.
not just about getting your business to make more money or creating systems and processes or
Yeah.
hiring the right people. That's all part of it. But this is like real inner character work, because
Yeah.
when you're like, it's like a video game. When you level up,
Yeah.
like you go from level 5 to level 6, and going from level 6 to level 7 is a lot harder
Yeah.
than from 5 to 6,
Yeah.
and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And so the higher up you get, and take that however you want in life, in general, business, the more that's required a change out of you, in order to be the person who can manage that kind of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's like, there's like Spider-Man, right? Stanley, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what running a business is. You're not just in charge of like yourself and your own well-being. There's all these other people, right? And how do you cope with all those emotions and feelings? Well, the thing is in order to scale and get past, like, a lot of agencies are at that churn and burn, right? Where they keep clients for like 30 to 90 days, if that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because we're too close to the people we're working with.
Yeah.
And so if you're scaling your business,
You said your average is 14 months?
So
Is the
it's
average?
about 3 years right now.
Oh,
We're
okay.
99.27%
That's great.
month-over-month retention rate. So that's month-over-month.
Yeah.
It's not year-to-year, but
Right.
so like it's up there, and that's
great.
because so with SM180, I came in about 14 months ago. It was started by Andrew Sousa, my current business partner with there. But we had started. We met at one of Rob Bailey's events.
Okay.
Because we're both like in his program, Agency Alchemy, and we had met over there. Sean Clark with High Level was there and everything, and. Long story short, man, guy, ends saying something to me. I said something that he thought was a joke, and I wasn't, but we both started laughing. He ended up buying me pizza, a little bromance. And, he asked me for some help with his sales. I told him, well, normally, like, what I charge, like, be way out of his, ballpark, right? So, I give him, a hookup because I like the guy, and he bought me pizza, right? That's one way, if you want help from me, just buy me pizza,
right.
and I'll probably do all kinds of free shit for you. But, so anyways, to make a long story short, about 6 months, I'm helping him out, and eventually we just end up becoming business partners. COVID hit, all that stuff. I started taking over more of a gym that I just acquired, and I didn't really want to focus so much on the digital marketing side. I could have physical brick and mortar place to take care of.
Right.
And so he helped me with some clients and things, and we decided, after that, just become business partners. And so within about 14 months, just installing some of the things I've learned over the years, like traction and EOS.
Okay. Those are great systems.
The best, like that. I took about 4-year break from business at one point in my life, and that book is what actually made me want to start another business.
Traction,
Absolutely.
That's a tough one, though.
So
That's a lot to implement.
Man, it is.
It's a lot of paperwork and tracking.
It was, man. It was tough, but to me, it's the best thing I ever did. Now every business I run now runs it. I've learned how to do it with very small companies. It's meant for companies once they hit like 2 to 5 million a year.
Yeah.
Not under.
Now you're 20-something people, right?
What's that?
You're at 20-something people?
So
Or you've grown
here's the thing.
60?
Well, I was at 20-something at Social Marketing 180, but we've made some improvements to our systems and processes and our efficiencies and our software, right? Yeah. And so we were able to cut that in about half, and then I moved half of those people over to the new solar agency that I started.
Okay, 2 for 1.
Exactly. And so long story short, kept making a better product, better service, and right now, like, we've made it so good over last year, like, we're able to grow 10x without actually doing very much, outreach to get clients, because truth is, we got a lot of referrals because we were actually getting results.
Yeah.
And that's the key. A lot of people skip over that. Like, they say, just sell, 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 which, don't get me wrong, when you first start, you got no money, you got to bring money in. You shouldn't be spending all your time and money on your product. I mean, you shouldn't.
Right.
You need to make money.
Yeah.
But there comes a certain time where you're making enough money to support the business, right? Especially if you're doing things smart, like outsourcing overseas properly, right? And when you end up, going through all that, right? You get to a point where all you need to do, man, is then worry about your retention, because without the retention, you get stuck in that
It's all
churn burn.
LTV, yeah.
And really, you're just a snake oil salesman at that point, right?
Yeah.
And so once again, you gotta have something decent. You gotta have your MVP, minimally viable product. But if you focus on making your product so good that people can't resist it, well, then you combine that.
Yeah.
But then, so we literally 10x that company. Went from doing $7,000 a month at agency when I first got there, to now it's doing about $60,000 a month recurring revenue.
How much of that is margin?
So before owners pay, but after taxes and operating expenses and everything, we run profit first as well, which is an amazing system if you don't have it. We take, between owners pay and profit, we take about 45%.
Wow, it's half. That's great.
We could take more.
Yeah.
But, you don't want to get too greedy. Like that there, that's probably about, I should probably be coming down a little bit on it here moving forward, now. But so we went from that, and, this year, So we haven't even focused on sales and marketing. And that's a crazy thing. My background is in sales and marketing. It's not in operations. That was one of my biggest weaknesses in building teams and stuff, but I've really been focusing on it the last couple of years.
But you don't need to do marketing because you're growing with word of mouth.
That's what I'm saying.
And you have retention, so you're not having to replace clients he's losing.
And you know one thing that we do? So we go to events, trade shows. Because you can go to places like that, you have the perfect target market, because who spends money and flies all over the country,
people to trade
and pays
shows,
hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to those places? It's people looking for solutions to their problems. I know that because when I go to a trade show, right, and I'm not an exhibitor, I'm going there to get solutions to my problems. Like I have money in hand. I'm desperate to give people money. I love throwing money at people to solve my problems.
Yeah.
You know? And so when you do something like that right, you can get enough clients for the entire year at that event and just do sales once.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things outside of just the digital marketing realm. And that's one thing that I've really learned a lot. And Mike Michalowicz, he has a great book.
He's Profit First, and another book.
Well, he has like, I think 7 now.
Okay.
But he has one called Get Different. It's a marketing book. Can you guess what it's about? It's about just being different than everybody else. That if you just stand out, now don't be freaky in a weird way, stand out, right, to scare people off. Yeah. But stand out in a way that's, attracts people. Well, you've already, you've done the first thing, AIDA formula, right?
Yeah.
You got that attention first. And so many people, we skip all these steps. And that's why systems and processes, all these things are so important, and knowing your numbers. Yeah. Because then you know where your funnel's broken, where your sales process is.
Right? When you have one product and you serve one industry, so how important is it to focus on one industry for your agency?
Oh man, so it's the difference between being successful or not. For 99% of the people out there.
What do you say to agencies that focus just on one area? They serve just Vista, California, just Portland, Oregon, and they try to handle all the different kinds of local businesses in that city.
So, I mean, there's two thoughts on that, right? So, number one, that's better than what some people do, which is right, especially in the internet marketing world. People
sell
go to
everything.
websites, I sell websites, I sell Facebook ads, I sell SEO, I sell automation, right? Yeah. And then they try to sell it to every industry. Like that's the absolute worst you can do, right? Yeah. Those companies that are doing well in spite of that, those are ones I love working with because it's so easy to go in and just make a couple little changes and boom, they're good. But so I think, so that's better than that. That's a step above, right? But the thing is, you want to get very, very specific, right? Some people might call it the 3 Ps, right? Solve one problem for one person and, through one product, right? And when you do those things, and the more specific that you can get, I don't care how big the market is. I don't care if there's only 50 people in the market that meet that criteria, right? Because when you first start, well, you want as specific as a message as possible and to keep your business as simple as possible, right? In fact, the solar agency that I started, it does literally 1/5 of what Social Marketing 180 does. All we do, crazy enough, is we just have people in the Philippines cold call all day, and when they get somebody on the line, they do some brief qualification, and then we live transfer. We don't even book the appointment, crazy enough. We just live transfer it to solar companies that already have their own call centers and sales teams and stuff.
So you do just the one thing.
So we just do the one thing.
You're the Chick-fil-A with the chicken sandwich.
That's it.
And you're real good at it.
And guess what? That company this quarter will make more money than the agency that's been in business for 4 years.
Because it does just one thing.
Because it does just one thing, and it's super simple. Now, as you expand and grow, right, in order to keep gaining market share, you have to keep innovating. But too many people are worried about innovation and scale before they even have a working product that the market loves.
Yeah, doing 50 things okay instead of one thing really well.
Yeah, that's it. And I know that's so easy to say. It's easy for me to say, and I still struggle with that almost every day.
I do too. Shiny object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome, man. I'm telling you, it's everywhere. Yeah. And what'll happen, even in Social Marketing 180, right? The reason why we're not at 150, 200 grand is because right now I keep making the focus on the product. And this last quarter, I invested $50,000 into our infrastructure. Yeah. But that also cut all of our expenses in half though. So But so now I'm at a point where now it's okay, we're focusing on all sales, all marketing this year. And so our minimum target this year is $500K a month in that company. And that's reoccurring revenue. Right. Once again, at minimal a 98% retention rate, because that's our metric, and we're way above that right now. But of course, over time that can go down, as you scale. Right. But my real goal though, and I don't tell this to employees, I think I'm crazy and they'll hate their life. Okay. you know, there's things I do behind the scenes as the visionary. You know, what can I call it? You know, you go and you sprinkle your magic, or you know.
He's a visionary, and that means he's got an integrator.
Absolutely, you have to. That's literally what changed my life. Before an integrator, you get no traction.
How important is it to have a co-founder versus trying to be a solo founder, doing it all by yourself with a bunch of freelancers and whatnot?
Oh man, so
because most of you guys are probably visionaries, but you're involved in the details operationally, and that's what's getting in trouble.
It's so hard to be a visionary without having capital and resources and and not even that, just the know-how in order to hire that integrator, right? Because in order to do that, number one, you have to get to a certain point in your business, or maybe, you know, if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, I don't know, I wasn't. So, but if you have something like that, then you can just you know, pay somebody to start with, right? Yeah. Which is why a lot of big companies, you know, there's a lot of like nepotism and people getting jobs they shouldn't, and they still do okay because they got so much money that they can blow. Whereas when you're small,
already, they got momentum.
I mean, dude, every business I've started up until the most recent one, the solar agency, I started with less than $100 or no money of my own. Yeah. Every single time. And so you have to get to a certain point, right, where you can figure out a way to bring on that integrator. Yeah. And in order to do that, you got to do one of two things. You either have to have the right kind of money and, you know how to hire the right person, or you need to know how to sell people on your vision and on your dream and what you're building in order so that they're
in a partner at that point.
Exactly. And so, but I think when I first started business, you know, I used to do it all on my own. I didn't have business partners. Right. You know, I was always afraid of being screwed over, right? Which it happens. Yeah. My first business that I would call successful went from 0 to 350K a month in about 12 months. That was the first like real business I built. But unfortunately, I made mistakes.
Was that climbing the poles?
That was climbing the poles. Yeah. Cell phone tower. Like, man, I'll never do that again. But you know, being negative 20-degree weather, climbing 300-400 feet up in the air on these cell phone towers.
So you as a big guy were climbing up these...
As a big guy, I weighed more back then than I do now.
That's scary.
Like, it was
400 feet up. I can't imagine what that looks like when it's minus 20 and you're trying to hold on to these steel towers.
Bro, we literally had to like knock ice off the rungs and stuff as you're climbing. Wow. Like, and then you're climbing and you have like your visor on, right? And dude, you're having like, you know, all your hot breath, fog them up, and you're climbing and like you can't see and stuff. And like, dude, it's the scariest thing that I've ever been through in my entire life. When I was
that wasn't in Chandler.
No, that was in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
You know.
For sure, you betcha.
If you know, you know. Yeah. You bet your boots. So I'm up there, right? And I'm just in my head, I'm like, what did I do wrong in my life to be here? And at that point, I told myself, there's nothing in the world I can't do if I can do this. And the crazy part is the only reason why I was doing that is because I thought to be a leader, I had to be the guy out there showing everybody that I could do it. Even though I shouldn't have, my health wasn't in the right place to do that. Are you kidding me? I probably could have had a heart attack and die up there, you know?
Super dangerous.
Like super dangerous, right? It's the most dangerous job in the world, dude. Yeah. We're doing. But it's so small, it doesn't have its own classification. Yeah. So I'm up there, you know, thinking what I do wrong in my life, and I have to tell myself, in order to get up that tower, I have to tell myself, this is awesome. Man, I love this view. This is beautiful. All these, I had to like
lie to
literally,
yourself.
I had to lie to myself. I had to trick myself into believing that I could do this. And at that time, I had a time where I actually slipped right on the ice, you know, and like kind of like fell off and then caught with my other arm, right? And I've had surgery on this shoulder before, and this one for that matter, but
yikes.
And I ended up jacking it up. And
so it was either that or fall, right?
It was either that or fall. And so I get to the top of the tower, but I wasn't in pain climbing because, you know, I'm literally in fight or flight.
You didn't feel it till later.
And I get to the top, dude, no lie, I'm busting out crying for like half an hour, 45 minutes because I'm in so much pain.
Then you have to get back down.
Then I had to get back down. And then I did that 3 more times that month because I had to, you know, get stuff done. I had investor, first time in my life I ever got investor money. That's a crazy story how that happened. Yeah. But the point I'm getting back to here is, went through all that, and you know what happened? After the company finally started making some real money and got things, you know, figured out and we were, you know, positive.
What happened?
Dude, I got kicked out of my own company. Once, when I started at 85%, I gave up shares though, to get investor money.
Yeah.
And then got kicked out.
Then they played the game to get you out. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I know what that's like.
Build a business for somebody else. And I won't mention names, details, but literally, dude, I got stabbed in the back.
That's the risk of partners.
And here's the crazy part. Some of the partners were family of mine.
That hurts even more.
So built $6 million a year business, lost it all. But you know what though? I wasn't mad at it because I hated my life so much and what I had gotten into
It's actually a blessing.
I wanted to go.
And you could do it again. You knew that.
Yeah.
And since you've done it many times.
And what the crazy part is, I got offered to buy back the company last year for pennies on the dollar.
Because they mismanaged it?
Yeah. And at that time, it went from about 6 down to like 2.5 million, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about things, but it was somewhere, I think it was around 2.5.
Right.
It went down to. You know how much they offered for me to buy it back?
300?
Not even. $150,000.
Oh, wow.
That's how much they wanted to get out of that business. Everything that I told them that happened they didn't want to listen to.
So then what happened?
Well, I don't know. I don't really talk to them anymore.
You didn't want to buy it back?
I just told them no. Don't want to buy it back. I thought about it.
Not worth the money.
I thought about it, but I was just like, dude, this crazy part is that was the whole plan all along. We do like a Steve Jobs, go back, buy the company, But I didn't want it because I was so much happier with my life. And that's when going back into digital marketing and agency and everything, it's just such, we don't know how good we have it.
Yeah.
We want to complain that, somebody didn't respond to my message or, I didn't hit my sales number. You have full control over everything that happens in your business. Stop complaining.
Yeah, this digital business versus climbing cell phone towers at minus 20. This is incredible.
I mean, and I'm nobody special, but that's the thing. Growing up, I just been told, hey, you have a lot of heart, right?
Yeah.
Even when I played sports when I was younger, I was always the top. But I wasn't the strongest. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the smartest. But I gave a shit about what I did.
Yeah.
I put my best into everything I do. And don't get me wrong, there's some days I have bad days, right? Where not every day I'm flawless executing.
Yeah.
But the whole experience though taught me I don't have to be the one there executing. Start using my brain and use my strengths. And it wasn't really until I started reading more of Jay Abraham.
Yeah.
And he kind of really showed me because growing up I was kind of the broker, the middleman anyways all the time, And I enjoy that. I enjoy talking to people, helping people, consulting with them, giving them real advice, that's hey, that's one of the beautiful things about consulting because you see from the outside in somebody's situation and a lot of times it's the smallest, dumbest, easiest fix.
They don't see it.
Right, there's this truck driving recruiting company I work with, right? And I'm not gonna give their name because they don't wanna know
right.
what I did for them, publicly because it works so good, they don't want their competition to know.
Of course.
So they're doing about $500,000-$600,000 a month, okay? And this guy, I've worked with him, over the course of a few years, doing some different websites and things like that, build some custom solutions.
Right.
So we got a good relationship, and he calls me up, out of the blue. It's probably been almost about a year and a half since I talked to him last, right? And he calls me, he sends me a message on LinkedIn, and then we talk, right? And he's wanting to build some crazy website. I'm like, why are you wanting to do that? Well, I want to, get more of our brand out there and get more leads and all this. I asked him, okay, well, how are your Facebook ads going? Because I know you do that pretty well.
Right.
And you spend $30,000 a month on those. He's got about 30 recruiters in the States.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, why not just spend more on ads, dude?
Just one thing.
And then why not, instead of your current strategy, start using your actual brand in your retargeting ads? Are you doing that? No.
Yeah. Instead of a new website.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just real quick that hit him. He's like, dude, that's, why didn't I think of that, right? Yeah. This guy's not an idiot, He's built a really successful company.
Yeah.
And so the next thing I talked to him about, and I'm like, okay, we got 30 recruiters, are they getting to all your leads within 5 minutes? Because the study.
You're the 5-minute guy, yeah.
MIT did the study, But 5 minutes. That's if you're generating leads. I don't care what industry you're in. If you're not getting to them within 5 minutes, I'm not talking just automated text.
Right.
I'm talking on the phone, calling them.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't want to talk on the phone. But guess what? When you're excited about something, when you just fill out that submission form, and somebody calls you right away, that's
the first
whoa.
5 minutes. You guys got to hear what Sal's saying. You've got to get to those leads, especially for your clients. They're not going to answer the phone in the first 5 minutes. So there's automated. Alex Hormozzi's got this Allen system.
The first 5 days if they do.
Yeah. And then you've lost them. Like you have like a 50 times higher chance of closing them if you get them within 5 minutes than a day later.
Well, think about it. They say our attention spans now are less than goldfish now, because like a goldfish is like 9 seconds, but ours is like 8 seconds. Whatever the numbers, but yeah, they say it's less than, in statistics, whatever. But still, it's just still interesting, right? Yeah. Like and like guys like us, right? We were around before the internet and all this, and to see the transition, man, it's crazy.
Sal and I are OGs.
Yeah, you're right. Been around for a minute here. Anybody start talking about Warrior Form, might want to take them out. No, just kidding.
I was the first person on the Warrior Form podcast.
Were you really? Wow.
You can look all the way back.
Man, you can tell that to the grandkids one day, huh? Just kidding.
That was before Google and Yahoo and these other things. Warrior Form.
Absolutely. So, coming around full circle here, right?
Yeah.
When you are building your business, okay, the more time and attention you have to spend your time on things, and the more feelings you have attached to things, the less successful you're going to be. Because when you have those 2-3 clients, right, you bring on 2-3 clients.
Right.
And then you start doing work for them, and you're trying to get files back and forth because you don't have an onboarding system, right? And it takes 3 weeks to get started, and then by time you actually get started, what happens is, well, they don't want to do it anymore because now it's taking so long, right? And they're not interested. Not only that, but you can't go and get more clients because if you're having a hard time servicing your current clients, and they're not getting the best results, you're not going to feel good about going out there and selling more.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And if you have employees and you're spending all your time micromanaging them, making sure that they're doing every little detail right, well, it's the same thing. You're not going to be able to grow and scale because in your mind, your company sucks, your product sucks, everything
that
sucks.
will show through too when you talk to prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you're able to distance yourself from that, right, which really in that visionary role you need to be, because otherwise you're going to get too emotionally attached to everything going on. And if like a system or process isn't being followed 100%, because you've spent a lot of time and learning and making sure that that's supposed to be done a certain way, but guess what? Nobody that you hire is ever going to do everything 100% the way that you want.
That's right.
And that's going to drive you crazy. And that's why metrics and having like a scorecard is so important, because if I hire somebody and tell them your only job, other than, being the right culture fit, having the right people, right, in the right seats, is making sure that this number is hit on a weekly basis or daily basis, whatever the basis is. And as long as they're doing that, leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Yeah, then you have to micromanage.
Right, but that's the hard part though, is after you've done that to actually step back.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Especially the more you go up from some of the beginner roles in a company to when it starts getting to leadership roles, to let somebody come in and lead your team when you've been the guy, dude, that's...
So how do you find an operator to trust someone to be able to run your agency or run your company and then know that they're going to mess things up? And at what point do you say, okay, it's not working out, versus you just let them continue? Because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I can operate the company, I can be a manager, because they need a job, but they're not qualified.
Yeah,
99% of them.
So number one, you can hire agency Rocket Fuel. Those guys are pretty awesome. But on the serious, so they've helped us, right? They've done some placement for me for Social Marketing 180. Great guys. But realistically, before you hire that person, okay, number one, you have to understand who you are as a visionary, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, because every visionary and integrator aren't the same. There's some visionaries who are involved in some day-to-day things because that's what they enjoy, maybe not all of it, right? There's some visionaries who, typically the visionary is the good guy, going to meetings, he's giving the State of the Union, he's motivating people, because as CEO or visionary, your number one job is to sell your employees, people, potential recruits, and your market and clients, right, on the vision of your company. That's your job. That's the number one thing, because you can't build a business by yourself. You have to have the right team of people, right? And so that's really like one thing, Wickman calls it, is like, I believe it's a culture czar, right? And so your thing is making sure you have the right people in the boat. If that's the only thing that you do right, well, then you're set up for success. But in order to know that you have the right people in the right seats, you have to understand who you are, how your company operates, and what strengths you need in that person, because they're not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah, that's tough.
Right. But they need to be like your better half, almost like it's like getting married to somebody.
Yeah, it's a business marriage.
Right, it is. It's the business marriage. And that can either be heaven or hell, like it can be the best thing that happens to you, or it can be the worst. And here's the crazy part they don't talk about. Sometimes you can outgrow an integrator. And sometimes Because here's the thing, not everybody is like a super hardcore, a million ideas per minute visionary. Like that's how I am.
Yeah.
Very, very high on the visionary scale. But not every company is like that. Some companies don't need a visionary and they're better off without it.
Yeah.
Depending on how fast they want to grow and scale.
Yeah.
Whereas you have a guy like me, that's what I do. I take businesses and I only work with companies, whether I'm a business partner, whether it's a client. If I can't 10x their sales,
Yeah.
and their income and profit in the next 12 to 18 months, I'm not taking that on, because that's kind of like what I've gotten into is literally 10xing businesses, and so go back to the truck driver recruiter company, right? So all I did with this guy is I helped him hire people overseas in the Philippines to get to all those leads and then set appointments with their recruiters. So about 3 months go by after I built this system for the guy, right? I had it waiting literally 2 weeks of everything to go. I don't hear nothing. I'm like, man, they're not getting back to my emails, not getting back to my messages on LinkedIn. Hits me up out of the blue. And he's like, dude, I haven't gotten back to you because we've been so busy. Because right now, obviously there's a lot of truck driving, recruiting going on with everything going on, right?
Yeah.
So there's huge market there.
Yeah.
But the system works so well. He was adding anywhere from 50 to 100 grand a week in new sales just by hiring 3 people overseas for $1,000, and he pays them better than most, right? I do too.
Still incredible.
Pay $1,000 a month, right? Plus commissions and stuff. And he was like, in fact, these guys are so good with the system that you built for me that I think that they can replace the jobs of my recruiters here in the U.S. that he wasn't expecting that.
That's amazing. Now, how did you charge when you had a client like that? Like a fee or a rev share or some kind of equity thing?
So I'm working out a bigger deal with that specific client, more of a licensing deal. Because what happens is he works with the top people in the industries, some big companies, I'll just say that much.
Yeah.
And a big corporation.
Yeah.
And he says no to I think 70, 80% of the business because they're not qualified.
Right.
I'm like, dude, why don't we license your system? Once again, something I learned from Jay.
Yeah.
Why don't you license this out to other companies? So what I did is, normally I do rev share and stuff, and I actually way undercharged the guy, just to be real with you. I charged him.
You've known him for years.
Yeah, I charged him $15,000. For the entire system. My team built it. Gave
It's
the
a great
training.
deal. Look at the ROI you got.
Oh, it is. But then you have some people, right? Now, if I'm running an agency and I'm making $5,000 a month, well, that's no longer a great deal anymore for that agency, because they don't have, and it's because they don't have the resources and the bandwidth where it makes sense yet.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they'd be better off, maybe going out figuring out how to do it themselves a little bit, and getting a course or something like that, right? Or watching a webinar. I'm sure you got plenty of those,
Something like this. Yeah, if you can't get Sal with you helping, you can get 80% of it with 20% of the effort.
Yeah, but you don't have to make it complicated. It's really simple. It's just like any marketing, right? Any sales. I don't know why, we especially in the marketing world, we think about this with our funnels, our landing pages, but when it comes to hiring people, we don't treat it the same way that we're trying to sell somebody. We're like, oh, we're hiring and we're big macho boss. No, dude, you're hiring people who have a choice where they want to work. You got to sell and convince those people why they should work for you. Especially if you can't pay them as much as other people. Then you got to really have a good vision, But the thing is, if you want to, you don't have to overcomplicate. You keep it really simple. You go find, where the fish are at, right? If you're going fishing, you got to have the right kind of bait, the right kind of line or pull, right? And you got to be at the right lake.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't have all that stuff, or if you only have some of it, it's going to be tougher, right?
Yeah.
And so long story short, go where those people are that you want to hire. And then make sure that your message, your job description, all that stuff matches what the role actually is, okay? Then from there, put it out there, right? So one thing that we had done is we not scrape, but just, our team, they go into Facebook, right? All the different groups and stuff. One thing when we hire people, dude, we don't just post in one place. We post on over 200 Facebook groups. We post on onlinejobs.ph, ZipRecruiter. We run Facebook ads, with video. We do all that because I'm looking for the needle in the haystack to hire. Yeah. Because hiring people is and it's very hard to calculate the cost, but having a bad hire that's
the most expensive thing.
It is.
A bad hire.
There's nothing more expensive than that.
Yeah.
You could literally lose your entire company off one wrong person. That's how I lost that one business. Yeah. One person. Because one person is the wrong person, it's not that they're a bad person necessarily.
Yeah.
It's cancer, and that cancer grows. You know, it's like if you have a sales guy, for example, is responsible for 90% of your sales, right? But he's a jerk to deal with. Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to push away all the good people that you want in your business, right? You know, that have the right culture fit.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to leave more likely to the highest bidder one day, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then you just lost, you know, everything in your business because, you know, you made a bad decision. You didn't hire that person, or you didn't fire that person quickly. Once you realized they were a bad fit, and you just you didn't have the right people in the right seats. You got to have the culture fit, right? And you got to make sure that they can actually do their job. If you don't have both of those, you're not going to be successful. And that's why most people have a hard time hiring, because it's just like a funnel.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have good AdSense, go into your landing page, and from your landing page to your follow-up, if it's not all matching and something's broke there, right? I think it's like golden string theory.
Yeah.
You know, if anything breaks, well, then you don't get a result.
Yeah. It's a weakest link problem. We call that multiply by zero. Give 100 times 100 times 100, but somewhere if there's a multiply by zero, the whole thing goes to zero.
And that's why people say stuff like advertising doesn't work, marketing doesn't work, because they don't understand, like, there's a lot of pieces. You're not just going to hire some marketing company that's going to solve all your problems. Even if, like, literally, there's companies where I've been told, and this has been several times over the course of my career, like, okay, like, you need to stop sending so many people in here because we're too busy. I can't, and like genuinely mad.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man, all that talk.
You guys,
Right? You can't, you know, it's like, go hire somebody, right? Go do it.
Yeah.
Dude, too many people are afraid.
Yeah.
You know?
Hiring an ad company to solve your strategy is like asking a dancer to help you with your plumbing.
Right. And I'm not saying there's not like situations where you know where it's wise to do that. When you have your strategy down and you know what's working stuff, and you just need people to manage things, sometimes that could be a good solution. You know, but you have, once again, it has to be part of your overarching strategy.
Yeah.
But any business, I don't care who you are, whatever industry, you need to own your marketing and your overarching strategy.
Did you hear that? You've got to own your marketing. So whether you're a small business or you're an agency, you've got to own your strategy. You've got to own what you stand for. You can't outsource that part.
Exactly. You know, you can outsource people to fulfill on your strategy, right? You know, just like a general at war does. You know, read Art of War. There's all kinds of good stuff in there about business, right? One of the best business books written. But so. Anyway, so you're here, right? You've got the message down. You know, we understand, you know, the core values, you know, and we're talking about those things in our job description application. Before you even like deal with these people in the interview, you need to test them. Yeah. You know, weed them out without manual labor. Exactly. And so what we do, we have on our application, we have reading and writing comprehension skills tests, just like the stuff you did in high school. In fact, dude, most people...
Testing them before you go straight to an interview, because these guys want to go straight to an interview. You can't tell from a single interview or a resume.
And it's a waste of your time. Right. You know, like you would never get anything done.
And they didn't put in the effort. Exactly. Right? So they're already DQ'd for that.
Exactly. And so you have this, right? So you have your reading, you know, comprehension skills test, which most people I know that live here in America can't pass it. Ours.
I would love to see it if you could share that with me.
Absolutely.
I would run it for RVAs.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely share that with you. And so we have that. And then one thing too, we do at the beginning of the application on the job description at the very bottom, it says, hey, when asked your age, I think it's put in like 42 or 32 or something like that, right?
Just to see if they're paying details.
Because details matter. I don't care what position you're hiring for. For me,
it's critical.
People got to pay attention. You got to give a shit about what you do. And I think one of the problems just in society today, people just don't care anymore. Like there's no like passion for the thing. Like it's just, I'm coming here, I got to make money, I got to do a job, which we do got to make money. You got to have somewhere to work and stuff. But why not like do something you actually care about? Because you're number one, like it's not even just about the money, right? Because dude, money that's a a byproduct of helping people, right? And doing good things in the world. But it's having that passion and actually caring about something so much to where you don't just do the minimum, you go above and beyond what people expect you to do. Whether you're an employee, whether you're a business owner. But how do you find that, right? Everyone wants that star employee who really cares. Well, and that's why your whole system has to be designed not to necessarily just attract the right person, but to weed out and polarize everybody else. Like if you're not polarizing people, like people when they read your stuff, they should either be, in a perfect world, right? They either absolutely love it and they're raving about it and they're like, oh my God, I just saw this. Even if they're not the one going to get the job, they're like, man, this company is awesome. And here, I have this friend, and they send the link to a friend, right? And give them a referral because whatever, something you did was so cool, or the video, or some of your benefits, whatever it may be. And On the other side, though, if somebody sees it and like, man, like I can't stand what this company stands for, right? That's good. Because now...
Find out early.
Yeah. Well, because they're going to disqualify themselves. And then they're going to tell other people the negative side, right? Which is going to keep those people, when the people who are into that are going to see that as positive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So have you ever been like hanging out with a friend and, I don't know, you're out and you hear somebody talking about like, I don't know, like Ryan or Grant or, because a lot of people like, they'll talk about the, gurus, right?
Yeah.
And they have so much shit they're talking about them. But then, like, when I hear that stuff, it's like, well, that's the reason why I actually respect that guy. That's why, like, I respect Grant Cardone, is because of what you said.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. There's nothing wrong with that. But too many of us were afraid, with cancel culture and social media. And, dude, I'm one of those guys, too. Like, dude, for a long time, like, I wasn't out here doing these videos.
Yeah.
I just started really doing these last year.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I had to get to a place where I just didn't care anymore, because what I believe in and my mission and goals in life and purpose, it's way beyond what somebody can deter me from just saying something negative about.
It's not about you anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's about
Imagine you turned the camera on earlier, right? Imagine if you got on podcasts earlier.
Exactly.
A lot of people wait until they're mega successful to then be on podcasts.
Yep.
But people, you probably already have some stuff that you could share. You could probably write a book based on what you know. You'd be surprised how much is in here when you actually sit down and write it out.
Well, it's crazy. Like, all of us are experts in something.
Yeah. We
We don't even realize it because we see what so-and-so is doing on Facebook or Instagram, right?
I wouldn't believe any of that stuff on social media.
Yeah. Well, number one, right? And even if it is true, well, dude, people are at different levels. And people get there at different ages and different times and different experiences.
And how long have you been in the game?
Oh, man. So
Let's
I
say
built
business or entrepreneurship.
So I built my first website for my dad's company when I was like 14 years old. He paid me he paid company like thousands of dollars. It was terrible. He's like, I bet my son can do it better if I give him $100. And I did.
See, there you go.
Dude, I built, remember Homestead, the website?
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
they got sold to web.com or something.
I used to work for web.com, crazy enough. But yeah, so great company, by the way.
Yeah.
So I built a fencing calculator. He had a fencing company.
Okay.
So basically, I created for like every page and like multiples of 5 by the footage and whether there's like wooden or PVC or chain link the fence. So I built like hundreds of, if not 1,000 plus pages, like static. Like but dude, I didn't know nothing about coding back then either.
Yeah.
This was crappy. What you see is what you get. Terrible back then.
Yeah.
So the point is, figure that out. And that was like kind of my start into it. But my first business where like I started, making money, even past the affiliate thing, was about 20 years old. So about almost 15 years ago now. 15 years ago, long time ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, I made my first start actually really making money. It was in the BST threads, wickedfirespecifically.com.
Okay. Yeah.
So buy, sell, trade,
Yeah, okay.
So I just posted in there. My title was 3 free review copies, because I noticed other people that were blowing up on them, they gave review copies to start.
Okay.
Right? And I didn't really have the best graphic design skills, but I knew basic Photoshop version, definitely pay for everything now because out of respect, but I had nothing back then, man. We did what we did to get by.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is, I get my first 3 review copies, dude, and I knock out each person's graphic design project within 24 hours, if not an hour or two.
Yeah.
I was selling, I think, logos for $15-20, banners for
Way
$5,
before Fiverr.
Websites, for $100, like hand coded. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just Googling stuff, trying, dude, it was a nightmare. But I got to a point within about a month, just from that one thread alone on Wickedfire, I was making about $500 a day.
Wickedfire. Wow.
Wickedfire.com.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I remember that.
So again, going down memory lane, but I started there, and then I started putting BSTs in the other threads, DP and Warrior Forum, and Black Hat World, X-Rumor and SEBook and all that. Yeah. Oh, man,
I've been flamed on all those forums.
Man, I tell you what, so using X-Rumor, somebody did to me once. What? So I hired this guy to do SEO. Okay. About 5 months go by, he did absolutely nothing, right? And I knew. I called him out on it. He didn't get back to me. Then I saw he scammed some other guys on Black Hat World. So I did a chargeback on the guy. What the guy does to me? He goes a rip-off report.
Oh, of
puts
course.
a bunch,
Yeah, to try to SEO for your name and
right?
all
So
that,
if you go, it's I don't know, the 5th page of Google. I don't even know if they have pages. Just scroll more now.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll probably find it somewhere on there, right? I don't hide anything. That's the worst thing that you'll ever find about me. I've been doing this for 15 years, and if you're in the online world and you're ripping people off, dude, retribution can happen pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So, long story short, going through that, and that's when I first started getting into like hiring people and overseas, and I was hiring people from India, from Pakistan. Wasn't the Philippines yet. It was probably my mistake. I didn't hire from there to start.
Yeah.
But
most people did India and Pakistan.
It was cheap, right? I remember I had these guys out of Croatia.
Yeah.
I'd pay them like $100. They would take my PSDs that I would design in Photoshop and turn them into WordPress sites, right? So I got to a point where I went from selling like $100 websites within about a year to where I was selling landing pages, and where I was basically, I didn't know it was even called it back then. I was doing conversion rate optimization because I was taking people's landing pages they already had made and just making better ones.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is I knew nothing about marketing then. How I learned marketing was actually doing graphic design projects and web design projects for other marketers. So like I was getting paid basically like Filipino and Indian and Pakistan prices in the beginning when I started, but like that's where you got to start. And that's why when I see people like being told by these gurus go out and sell people on a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 project when they've never even done it before, like I get where they're coming from, because you don't need to be good at something to actually sell it, but there's a line between ripping people off, you know what I'm saying?
That's huge.
And just being a middleman.
Listen to Sal Stain. Absolutely.
Too many times people, they don't test the service providers, even if you're white labeling, right? Because they hear good things, and maybe you get lucky and get you can white label, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but you need to do a lot of research. You need to test them out, check the customer service, because otherwise, if you partner with the wrong person, you just screw over somebody, took their money, and more than likely don't have enough money to pay them back. You probably spent it on rent, going out, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Exactly, but I think like too many people are afraid to just like get their hands dirty and do work for free. Like there's something degrading about that. And it's like, dude, like you don't deserve to get paid until you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And once you know how to do it, these clients are going to keep paying you month after month after month. So I'm willing to give away the first months of service if I have to learn how to do something, because I know that client will continue to pay. That's the key.
When you understand,
and you get good at it
long-term, when you understand average lifetime value and maximum lifetime value,
that reputation and your referrals and everything else comes from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just there's just like this whole culture that wants like the quick buck, right? Who wants that get rich quick.
Yeah.
And the thing is, any of those people the very few who do in our world that do have initial bout of success, if you follow them for long enough, most of the time they kind of lose it all. Because it's kind of like winning the lottery, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't rightfully earn that money and have to go through the pain and understand the whys and the hows, you're not going to be able to maintain it. I'm not saying there's not that unicorn out there that blows up and then is able to hire a bunch of high up executives and stuff. Yeah. That does happen, right? Yeah. But most of it, like, I'm not going to bet on that though.
Yeah, these folks, they come and go. Absolutely. You guys see it all the time.
Yeah, and it's not that they're bad people. They just, like I said, it's like winning the lottery. If I was a kid, if I was 20 years old, and I was making the kind of money I do now, I'd probably be dead, man, due to old bad habits and drinking too much back then and dealing with depression, and there's that's a side that people don't talk about. They don't talk about like that side that's like that gut wrenching, heartbroken.
That's tough. Yeah, you never see that on Instagram, do you?
You don't, man, and that's the side where honestly, most of your time as an entrepreneur is going to be on that side until you get past those certain levels. Yeah. And even then, it can all come crashing down. All it takes is one mistake. Yeah. And if you're a visionary like me, then one of our biggest enemies is boredom. But it's like if you're filming a commercial or something, like I can't tell you how many times I just get one line right. I've been like there half an hour plus. And I'll have to show you a cool video I made one time. It was like went through the Harmon Brothers stuff, and it was a cool video. I'll have to show it to you. I did it for the gym. I was like, this is a parkour gym. It's a lot different.
Oh, cool.
And our whole thing was like, let's make the gym fun and not deal with all the meatheads and all the gym stereotypes. Just kind of I'll have to show it to you.
All right. What we could do is do this for another 5 or 10 minutes and then go live for 10 minutes on Facebook. Yeah. See if people want to join in. That way we get a little bit of both.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. So we're talking about how there's a lot of people that fall for the gurus with get rich quick, and these people fizzle and burn out because they haven't gained the competence. They haven't built the reputation. They haven't built the machine of repeatable SOP kind of processes that Sal knows how to do. What advice, Sal, do you have for a lot of our young adults out there that want to start an agency? They want to do social media. They want to be an influencer. They want to do stuff on TikTok. They know there's a lot of dentists and doctors and lawyers and real estate agents that need help.
Okay. So, man, a lot of things come to mind here. So I'm going to start with core fundamentals, basics. The first thing you need to ask yourself is, do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? And when I say entrepreneur, there's a difference, in my humble opinion, from being an entrepreneur and being a business owner / operator, right? Anybody can run a business that provides a job for them, right? Like, or almost anybody. But it's a whole nother thing when you're responsible for going to business with people and, you know, building out complex operations and systems, and people's livelihood is based on your ability to run an organization and to be the captain of that ship, right?
But it's in their early 20s. They don't even know because they have no experience to base it on.
Exactly. They don't know. So there's this great book, one of my favorite authors, Gino Wickman. Wish it wasn't out when I was that age, but I wish it was. It's called Entrepreneurial Leap. And so it goes over different characteristics that are needed to really become like an entrepreneur, right? And so what it does is help you determine what you really want. Because some of us, you know, we just really want quote unquote, like a job, right? Something that makes us money.
Nothing wrong with having a job.
Nothing wrong with it. And that you can, you know, have the Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week. Like you can build that. Honestly, like if you put in the right work and you're simplified and you're focused in what you do, you can build that in 12 to 24 months. You know, if, you know, you really put your time and effort, purpose and focus towards that, right? And you can have the travel, the backpack lifestyle, which is cool, but I always thought I wanted to do that, you know, for the longest time. That's why I got into it. But you know, like it's kind of annoying, you know, flying around all the time, you know, taking
being able to do whatever you want and eat at all the restaurants you want,
right? And
take your girl to Vegas. How annoying that is!
I know. It's like this, but you know, it's a blessing to be able to do it, you know. But at the same time, there's a lot of drawbacks to that. You know, you're not really, you know, home often. You're not like in your own bed.
You travel a ton.
I know. Well, this last year, since COVID, man, I've been traveling all over. You know, that's like one thing after got rid of, you know, sold my shares back for the telecom company, the tower company. You know, it's one
so
thing.
What drives your traveling?
My girl loves to travel. What drives all of us, right? So for me, I guess, you know, just growing up, you know, being dirt poor, not having nothing, being at a point in my life now where I'm not tied down to, you know, I don't own my own houses and stuff. I've done some flips and stuff, but I don't live in my own houses, kind of like, you know, Grant Cardone talks about, right? Learning from him. I can be anywhere I want, right? With the type of work that we do. It's all virtual, all the businesses I run.
So Sal and I are both VAs because we're working virtually.
Exactly. We're all VAs here. And so, you know, it's good having that freedom and luxury, but sometimes you just, you know, it's good to be home and, you know, not on a laptop working and have like, you know, your full desktop, you know, PC with all of your monitors and, you know, when you're excited about projects. But that's like something I personally struggle with because what I tend to do is I end up working my butt off for like 3 to 6 months, 9 months, sometimes a full year.
Going these bursts.
And it's just like go, 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 go. And then, you know, end up burning myself out, right? Burnout's real. I don't care how much you love what you do, how passionate you are. You know, there's some people I respect and appreciate that talk on this subject, but I don't agree with. I believe burnout can happen to anybody, you know, because even if you love what you're doing, you can work yourself to excess, you know?
Just like anything.
Just like anything. And so, you know, then what happens is I end up taking a few months off, not wanting to do nothing. But over time, I've gotten a little bit better about it. So now I'm at a point where what we're doing is, so this year coming up, we're starting a physical brick and mortar location in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Which completely like against how I would normally run business. But the thing is, I have a holding company that run, you know, has my shares in all the other companies I run. And I want to put a leadership team in place because there is a certain important aspect. It is, and it's a lot different running a business and having people in a room with each other and being around. Like like I'm not saying you have to be there every day, but having that 2-3 times a week, like, there's just something that you
something
don't.
about that.
Yeah, you don't get.
Zoom doesn't do it.
Right, exactly. You don't get the same collaboration, the teamwork, and all that stuff. Even our people in the Philippines, like every quarter, we give them money.
Yeah.
To where they can all go and hang out for a night.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And you have to have great communication, man, with these virtual companies. So long story short, I kind of have like my own like little think tank there, and build like a video studio to come and do videos when we need to, right? And bring actors in locally. Yeah. It's just more of like a convenience thing, and it's kind of like my version of some people they start making money and then they go out and like buy a restaurant because they want a place to chill. So that's kind of like my version of having my own restaurant or something. It's having like a brick and mortar, cool place to hang out, and have like the whole.
I want to come visit.
Yeah, man. Well, the plan is to like go out and get some warehouse space, right? Because it's cheap, right? And especially Texas.
Austin's a little more expensive now.
Yeah, well, compared to a lot of places, Minnesota. When I was up in Minnesota, that place is so expensive to live. It's ridiculous. Oh, wow. It's one of the most expensive. Minneapolis, one of the most expensive in the country. Yeah. But so, anyways, so plan is to build out like just like crazy big, green screen room, right? Love green screens, man. There's so much you can do. But that and like have all the right equipment and have people in a place. So then that way, it's like almost like I got my think tank, leadership team there, and I can go off investing in more businesses, speaking at more events, and really, fully go into the visionary role. Because even for me, it's taken me this long.
That makes sense. To
actually fully be in the visionary spot, right? Until this last year, I had never had an organization where my only job was to be the visionary. And so,
digital marketers in Austin, have you spoke for the Certified Partner Program?
I haven't. I've been through digital marketers courses twice though, like when they first came out like 5 years ago. Yeah. All their certifications.
You seen my stuff in there?
Oh yeah, 3x3 and everything. In fact, when I was running, so it was called Fight or Flight Academy, right? So we were talking about COVID earlier, and making courses and all that. Well, we during the middle of COVID, I did my first Kickstarter campaign. It was an absolute nightmare. Yeah. We hit our $25,000 goal. Okay. Right, but we put together like really the world's. It's not the first parkour class, but it was like as far as video production wise, it was like freaking insanely good. Yeah. So we hired I had our own full-time video editor working inside of a gym. That's how much video we did, how much content. And so we did this campaign, right? And in order to launch the Kickstarter, we launched the world's largest online parkour contest where people would submit their videos doing their different stunts and tricks, and the community would vote, right? It was a whole crazy thing. You can look it up sometime on their Instagram or Facebook. But we did that, number one, to kind of give back, because like a lot of these guys in parkour, they're like really solid athletes, and they get no attention, no credit. Some of them get into movies and stuff like that, but it's really, I think it's an up and coming industry, and that's why I loved it so much what we did there. But so we started, and it was like the world's largest, not the world's largest, but the world's biggest prize contest in parkour ever, including bigger than the Red Bull events at the time.
How much was it?
$10,000 first prize. Okay. But there's no second, no third place, but 10 grand. Okay. First place, so it kind of put them back on the map. We did a lot of stuff over there. But the thing was, like, dude, it was like one of the coolest things ever. It was fun. And that's when I really got into, really saw the power, of video. And I ended up going like Harmon, taking like the Harmon brothers, going through their courses. And creating one of those style videos, dude. That was
Poop to gold. Yeah.
Oh man, it was so fun. It was one of the funnest times I ever had. That was like probably the company that I honestly, had the most fun at. Because it was just cool stuff.
Awesome project.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. We, got some of the, top parkour athletes in the world, right? And, got them to do, online courses for the Kickstarter, right? Which I didn't know what I was doing then. Like it was called licensing, right? Yeah. But we, did interviews with them and stuff. And the point I'm trying to make is we did all these interviews with them, and I was following your 3x3 strategy in order to run the ads and everything, right? Okay. Now, here's the honest truth, though. Okay. I failed with it. Oh. You know why? Why? I made it too complicated. So I'd never done a 3x3. Okay. Right? And then so I'd never done it before. But here I had I think it was 10 athletes that we did these interviews with, right? And we were doing the no, the how, and the why, right?
Why on what, yeah.
Yep. And so we're putting all that together, and we, got all that edited. But then then I realized, well, man, this is going to be super complicated doing this for all these 10 people and have to get access to their account and figure this part. And there's things I just didn't know, because when I read the strategy, there was a lot of things I assumed I understood how to do, and I didn't have your course or nothing, and I was running out of deadline. So I just ended up cutting the whole thing, didn't even get to run it. I can't tell you how many projects have been like that in the past.
Can we not
bro.
revive it?
Well,
And still build the personal brands of these parkour athletes? I already made the videos.
I mean, maybe. I sold my shares, though, so involved.
Oh, that's a shame.
You know?
You know the little secret about the 3x3 that people don't know?
What's that?
So when we ask people to make a bunch of 1-minute videos, 3 why, 3 how, and 3 what, so you have top, middle, and bottom of the funnel, 3 videos for each, they don't need to actually make that many videos. We want people to make a bunch of 1-minute videos because when we start running dollar a day against it, it increases our probability of finding a win. Because we typically find that most people, they'll just make one video. They'll just make one ad, and the odds of that ad working are really low. So it's just the 3x3 and dollar a day strategy is just a testing strategy, just to get people out there. One of my favorite things to do when I was coaching athletes in high school on cross country, like I'm big now, like you and I are big now, is that they wanted to run their first marathon. And I would tell them something like, if you can just run 3 miles today, 3 miles tomorrow, and then 10 miles on the weekend, then you'll have, like I made it some magic formula, I would make something up, then you're gonna be able to run that marathon that's in 2 months from now. And so they would do that, and really all I was trying to do was get them to go out and run 3 days in a row. That was it. So this whole 3x3 thing is I'm just trying to get people to get into the habit of learning how to make video, because if they've not made 1-minute video, if they've not learned how to run dollar a day, they're just going to suck. And so we have to make a number of videos to get practice until we're good. It's one of those things, right? How many times do people think they're going to go to the gym and work out really hard for 2 hours and they're going to have 6-pack abs after that one workout?
Too much, too often. And
so it doesn't have to be 3x3. That was just something to get people going.
Well, and speaking of that,
yeah.
You know, when it comes to the diet and working out, that's like one of the, when I first got into this and was working with all the marketers on all the websites that we were talking about earlier on the forums, that's like one of the things I got a lot of business was from like supplements and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so when I first started doing it, I didn't really know what I was doing, you know, what they were doing. Well, comes to find out, a lot of these guys were doing the whole rebills, right? So, you know, they were telling people, hey, get your acai berry, right? Remember how big that was? And I can't tell you how many landing pages I did for
my buddy Larby was the largest seller of acai berry ever.
And shoot, I might have even did some work for him and never even, you know, knew him or whatever. Because I didn't know like how big some of the people I was working with back then.
Yeah, he did 100 million. He had the Oprah ads.
And I wouldn't be completely surprised if I end up doing some of that, you know, some of their work, because I was doing it for like everybody, man.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I come to find out, well, these guys were telling people, hey, you know, you get this many free, right? And then on some of the websites that have very fine print, right?
Technically legal, but barely.
It was like $300 they get charged after like 14 days or something.
Yeah.
And even worse, some people were doing that and they had no fine print.
Right.
They were just doing it and they make it impossible to cancel.
Right.
It got so bad, I believe it was the FTC, they eventually cracked down on all that stuff. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's like, so, I mean, man, they just been, because when we were getting started, there wasn't much out there, actual rules. I remember looking it up, like FTC and all that, like what you could and couldn't advertise.
Yeah, it's about 2009 that stuff all really changed.
Exactly. Now, like the whole reviews and stuff, it's like, even with the reviews, what is it? Fashion Nova, right? They just got sued. I think it was like 18 or 20 million. I could be wrong with the numbers, terrible numbers, but because of like gating reviews.
Yeah, that is illegal.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like something like
any local business, if you're gating reviews or you're using software where it tries to funnel the good and bad reviews one direction or another, that's actually not legal according to the Federal Trade Commission.
Yeah, it's crazy, but like, well, I didn't know that. Not until I saw that article.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, a lot of times, like the bigger companies, they get the attention, and the small guys, they don't. You know, until you start blowing up. You know, like Frank Kern, I know he got into a lot of stuff at one point, but it's kind of a rite of passage. Nobody talks about that either.
Yeah.
Right? I've had people try to sue my businesses before in the past, not the recent ones.
Yeah.
But and you know what the attorney says?
What? To sell?
You're doing well. No, he's like, well,
you're successful.
You're not successful
until you get sued.
Until you get sued.
Yeah. You know who wins every lawsuit?
Who's that?
The attorney. They're the ones that make the money. Oh, for sure.
That's just what's going to happen. Like, because there's so many laws and regulations. Most of the time, like somebody's not even trying to do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's just there's just so much out there, and then there's the interpretations of it, and then the fact
you break 12 laws every day without even knowing it.
We all do.
Yeah.
It's like taxes, right? Yeah. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Because it's so complicated.
There's no way you can keep on top of it.
There's no way.
Yeah.
It's so just I don't know. You know, it's just going to happen. Just realize, you know, you're going to get if you get big enough. You're going to get sued one day.
That's the mark of success.
Exactly.
Being sued. I've been sued plenty of times too.
It happens, right? You know, you try to do the right things, but hey.
Yeah. So Sal, what was it that inspired you to want to be on the podcast and then come out to Vegas?
Oh man, well, just to be 100% here, man, you've been popping up all over the place the last couple of years. You know, I've learned some things from you. I wanted to meet you, and you know, it just was part of my goal. You know, is to get onto more podcasts, right, and to network with people. And you know, 'cause the more I do things like this, you know, the more my network expands, right? And it's like so important. People like, you know, like I used to never care about networking and all that stuff. I was like in BNI and all that.
Yeah.
But it just, you realize the older you get and the wiser you are, it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people. And it's not even about like, you know, how much money can I make today off of like trying to sell a guy something, right? It's what can I learn from this guy and who can they introduce me to? And most importantly, what can I do for him to help him out first? You know, it's like if you help out people first without expecting anything in return,
that's the key.
That's the key. Yeah. That's the whole key to life.
I wish I knew that 20 years ago.
Right, like stop making goals about money. Like, dude, money's great, right? You know, like you need to have it. But as soon as your focus is money, and don't get me wrong, if you're, you know, starving in the street, like, hey, like you need to do what you need to do, right? But it's like an undercover billionaire, you know, Grant Cardone says. Yeah. You know, it's all about contacts and contracts. You know, the cash doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but dude, money is an illusion. It's not real. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything except for the value that people put on it. It's a fiat currency. Exactly. You know, it's like the Fed's like for every dollar they print, it's called microfractioning, right? They can go out and get 9 more dollars, right? That's right. Exactly. And so, and then that money, right? So that $1 that goes out, they can go get 10 more for that. And then that 10 that goes out, all that interest needs to be paid back. So there will forever be debt. And the whole monetary, without going like super deep into, you know, tin hat conspiracy theories here. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's an illusion to keep us mentally and emotionally enslaved to this system, because that's what people want. Like, think about how many wars are fought over money, like how much problems there are, right? Like people's divorce, relationships, all those things. Mostly money is the root cause. You know, fighting about money. Same thing in business, right? Employee, like working with people. You know, when you make money your focus, and that's one of the easiest ways to have the most toxic business and just life in general. Yeah. But when your purpose is about helping people, you'll make the money without thinking about it. It's like Social Marketing 180. You know, literally 10x'd, you know, their monthly recurring revenue, and have an insane retention rate at over 99%. And it's because it was never about the money. It was about loving our clients and loving our employees. It's all about people. And that's what being an entrepreneur is about. It's about building something that's going to help a lot of people. And that's why there's a big difference between... That's where the money comes, when you create so much value. Yeah. And that's the difference between an entrepreneur and being an owner-operator. An owner-operator, you're an employee in your own company. When you are building a business, an entrepreneur, you're leading people, and you're a leader, you're an investor in your business. You're no longer in the day-to-day, you're in the overarching strategy, and your whole purpose is to make sure you're surrounded by the right people. And if you do that, you'll be successful. That's the next level up. I mean, it's boom, right there. It's simple, right? But it's the simple things that are that we tend to overcomplicate them, you know? But if you just, and you can't just say it like, oh, I'm helping people. Everybody does it. A lot of people say that, right? Yeah. But as soon as there's a problem, and, you know, let's say you have a client and you did everything right, you upheld your contract, and that person wants their money back because they're mad about whatever, right? Do you deserve to keep the money that you made because you did what you were contractually obligated to? Absolutely. But what's going to happen when that guy is pissed off, talking shit? It's going to cost you 10 times that, and headache and reputation and everything. It might be even way more than that, right? You could lose the biggest deal of your life. Yeah. You know, it's like the movie Casino. You ever watch the movie Casino? Yeah. So, you know, he's like the guy who's in charge of the gaming commission or, you know, whatever, right? His nephew, right, worked at the casino, and Robert De Niro, you know, fired the guy. And he's like, why'd you fire him? Well, because either he, you know, was an idiot or he's stealing from me. Either way, he can't work here, right? Right. But that guy wasn't really costing him much. You know what I'm saying? So that one mistake, pissing off the wrong guy, ended up costing him, well, that's what cost Vegas the mafia to Vegas, according to the movie, right? They lost the entire, city.
Yeah.
And the gaming commissions came in, they got all the mob guys out, right? And all that stuff, well, doesn't exist anymore, I guess, supposedly. But the point I'm trying to make is, when you're working with people, all it takes is that one person, and you never know what kind of far-reaching effect that can have. Not only that, but it just feels good to just go above and beyond, do everything, because then what can you say about me then? I gave you a free service, you made money off me, and I give you your money back.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. That's an abundance mentality, taking care of your customers.
Absolutely, and there's times I haven't been perfect about that in the past, especially when I was struggling.
Yeah.
But for me now, absolutely, every time. Heck, if I have something I learned from Mike Arcee, it's crazy this
Mike
stuff.
Arcee's awesome.
So he's the man.
Check out the bits we have with Mike Arcee.
So, we've learned a lot, me and my business partner, from Mike Arcee.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that I learned from the gym world, right? Stuff like charging first month and last month, for example. Okay, so you go to the gym, they have that, the sign up fees. Well, guess what I brought over into the agency
The same
world?
thing.
Same thing, man. So we charge first and last month. You know what that does for me?
Increases cash flow.
Well, increases the cash flow, right? Because I know I have a long retention, so I'm not, worried necessarily, about how long I can lose $10,000 on acquiring a client and still be at 1/7 of how much money their lifetime value is, right? So we're close to $100,000, lifetime value. It's more than that if you include referrals.
Right.
But so anyways, we charge anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month, right? We work in an industry, cryotherapy, that they can only afford so much, man.
Right.
As much as I'd love to charge $5-10 grand,
right.
Unless they got multiple locations, which we do work with multiple location owners. But the whole thing with it is if you, sorry, man, my ADD's going wire here. What was I saying just a second ago?
Well, the retention, right? You can afford to lose in the beginning because you have LTV.
So what I did when I had my gym, right, was we were charging like $200 a month. We had the first month and last month. Well, guess what I did with the last month payment? I gave that to my sales guys.
Okay, commission.
So I paid to my sales guys.
Okay.
And so what I do in the agency is my customer acquisition cost, well, that's equal to the last month payment. Because it's not first and second month. Right. It's first and last month. Right. Meaning that last month doesn't happen until they say, hey, I want to be, I'm done, right? And then it's like, okay, cool, you have another 30 days. Right. Or, I love this one, I want to pause, right? Because people are like, oh, December comes, they want to pause, when really they should be spending the most money in December because nobody else is, and then when January and February hit, they're going to make a lot of money. Yeah. So, long story short, you take that payment, and you apply that to your customer acquisition cost. So between your leads, your sales, right? And now you're getting free client acquisition. Free customers, You can scale up as much as you want. And Alex Hormozy kind of talks about it too.
I was going to mention that.
It's like, hey, if you only have you don't need any money for life because you take all the money that you make on that first sale, you put it into it, and you just, compound. It's
great logic.
Yeah, exactly. It's compounding cash. It's the best way to do it. A lot of people, though, we get our money. And then this is where a lot of us are in a tough spot, right? Because this is the hardest spot, and I was there for a long time. You don't make enough money to necessarily do that because you can barely, you're behind on your rent. You're behind on your bills. Yeah. That's why it's tough. Yeah. So what's your message, Sal, you have for people maybe that are in that spot? They started their agency, they bought a few courses or programs, things maybe didn't work out. They still want to do an agency, but they're thinking about throwing in the towel. But they're just on the verge of maybe getting that big client. Things are tough. So there's a couple of different ways to go about this. I used to always think that to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, all that stuff, I used to think that to be an entrepreneur, you had to own your own business, right? But trying to learn a skill, learn a market, and make money from it, and pay your bills while not having any other income is almost a death wish. You're gonna get it's gonna eat you up and tear you up, for a long time, those who end up surviving through that. And so one thing I've really learned lately, and if I could go back and do things differently, you know what I would do? Tell me. I'd go to work, I'd find a company that I love and believe in their mission, and I would work my way up in that company and get paid to learn.
That's the best
from
way.
that company.
Yeah, an apprenticeship model.
Exactly. Even
They
if
take all the risk.
Exactly. Even if I had to start out working for free for that company as an intern or something, right? And I know that's so
That's the fastest way to learn. And you're surrounding yourself with other people that are mentors that are committed to seeing you succeed.
It's like instead of going to college, right? Go spend 2, 3, 4 years, heck, even a year for a company who already knows what they're doing, has got things figured out.
Yeah.
Because not only that, but you can take these skills, right? Like right now, Dennis, I would make more money personally in my pocket today working for another company right now. Because there's companies that I can make, dude, just doing sales alone. If that's all I cared about, if I want to do sales every day, there's companies that work for, getting paid $20,000, $50,000 commission, selling daily, making that kind of money.
That's crazy.
But that's not my purpose, just to make money.
Yeah.
Like if your whole thing is just to make money, there's way easier ways.
Yeah.
Get into sales, find find the right vehicle, the right company, and a product that you believe in, preferably that you actually use yourself or would use, right? It's like I keep talking about Grant Cardone, man, but dude, he's had such a big impact, on me in my sales career, right? Yeah. It's like if I work at a Ford dealership, and I'm selling cars and I'm driving a Toyota, what kind of message is that sending?
Yeah, incongruent.
So that's my first thing I would say is like if you're kind of just started and you're younger, take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, instead of going to college, whatever. Not saying that college is necessarily bad. I was a high school dropout and a college dropout. I tried it, but
I dropped out of high school too.
Yeah, that's like everybody's life is different, and I'm saying that's not the best choice, but I don't know. That's a whole nother debate, right? But the thing is, that's a way, to go about it. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're going to learn, you're going to get paid to learn. And, then you can go start your own business, right? If that's what you want to do. The other thing is if you're just like, nope, there's no way I'm doing that. If you're stubborn, you're bullheaded like me, well, I'm going to watch my language here, but just stop making excuses. Stop blaming everybody because you are.
Yeah.
If you're not where you want to be in life, it's because it's your own fault. It's like, you know what I had to listen to every day for almost a year just to get myself out of bed and to deal with the depression I was going through. I had to listen to, it was when Rocky was talking to his son, right? And, he's telling him, life's going to come. It's not fair. It's going to knock you down. But I'm just going to make you stay there, if you let it. But you got to get up. You got to keep moving forward, right? I used to listen to that like at least once, twice, 3, sometimes 10 times a day, just to motivate me enough, right, to keep getting up. And that's the key to success in anything in life is whatever you think it's going to take successful, and that's why I love the 10X rule. It's not necessarily about the money, but it's going to take you 10 times effort that you think is going to happen. It's going to take you 10 times the heartache. It's going to take you 10 times more money, right?
Yeah.
The problem is though, we like read these stories and these testimonials.
Looks too easy.
Right, because some people might see some of my testimonials for different service providers and vendors, that I've worked with. And be like, oh man, that guy went from this to this, well, but here's the thing you don't know. I also spent 12, 13, 14 years doing all this other stuff, right? Yeah. And this guy, they just gave me one piece of leverage, which can be huge. Sometimes that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
But the point is like, if you got to believe in what you're doing so much that it pulls you. Because if not, if you're just pushing yourself all the time, willpower, dude, it's only going to go so far. It's not enough. Yeah. It's not enough. And that's why being passionate really matters. You don't have to. Here's the thing too. People think that being passionate has to be you work in industry, something that you absolutely love. That's great, but that's usually likely like a lot of times what you're good at is sometimes not always like things that you like. But for example, like running an agency. Yeah. It's not my dream to run a marketing agency, but it is a cash cow, right? Dude, your profit margins can be insane if you allow them to be and you plan for them, right? And your strategy is good. But what I am passionate about, though, is helping people, is helping small businesses, right? Is changing lives. Because I personally believe, and the reason why I work with, for example, an SM180 is crowd therapy, because I believe in what they're doing. Yeah. I believe it's better, it betters mankind. So I won't work with, like, for example, like, alcohol and tobacco companies and pharma and that stuff. It's not that I'm judging anybody, because it's not like I've never drank before, right? But I don't believe
done crowd therapy. You have a clinic in Chandler?
We do.
I want to stop by and see it.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's plenty here. But yeah, we'll have to go do it sometime. But point I'm trying to get at is all the industries I work in, they're all doing something better for people, right? And when you're able to better that local business,
you believe in it.
You better the community, you provide jobs, opportunities, and all these things indirectly.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm not passionate about, we get to run Facebook ads and, follow up with all the leads with our callers and do sales training. That's just stuff that we need to do in order to get the result and the impact. Right. And when you are able to go from, hey, I'm just trying to make money to survive, there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You gotta take care of yourself before you can help other people. But once you get to, a certain level of success, you'll realize like it's not really what it felt like. And I think they say like if you make over $75,000 a year, your quality of life doesn't really change.
80 is the top,
Exactly. So, and it's true, right? Because once you can kind of do whatever you want for the most part, maybe not now with inflation, it's probably like $100,000, but the point is you get to a point where it has to be about something bigger than yourself, and you have to have that mission. And if you look at all the greats, no matter, I don't care what kind of business, whether they're an athlete, right, whether they're a farmer, like philosopher, they believed in so much something bigger than themselves. A lot of times, those people are willing to die and give up everything for what they believe in.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that kind of conviction in your beliefs, then you need to do some soul searching.
Yeah, because the other people who do are going to beat you.
Yeah. I mean, look, dude. And once again, I'm not like a big fanboy of him, but like, just as a person, right? Look at Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Like,
he's committed.
Dude, guys,
he's going to die on Mars.
Right. But he didn't start there though, right? He started with XCOM, which became PayPal, which was like huge for e-commerce, and all of us have like a lot of things there, right? Because if it wasn't for certain things, right, like that, like dude, like it would have taken so much longer for the internet to blow up, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, Tesla, right, SpaceX, and the Boring Company. Guy works like what I say, like 100 hours a week. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. I don't work 100 hours every week, man, dude. But I've believed in something so much that I've done that. There's times I hadn't slept for 3 days because we had to get stuff done. It was in the middle of COVID, right? I could have lost everything. But we at the gym we ended up keeping like 75% of all our clients that, even though they couldn't come to the gym for like 3 months.
That's crazy.
Right?
Wow.
It's because we're human. We sent them a message, we connected, like, hey, if you guys need to, pause, cancel, whatever, we completely understand. But if everybody does that, we're going to go out of business. So, you're not going to have a gym to return. But if you're able to help us, we're going to give you, the free months, whatever. We're going to give you like, maybe some like cool T-shirts, and some stuff like that, passes for their friends. And we're able to bring that community together. And that's what happens when you have a business with people who love your company and the people that are in it. Like everybody works together, right? And if it wasn't for that business would have went out of business. And so once again, you're not going to do those things though if you don't care about them. And so Elon Musk, dude, like just like everybody else, other high-level entrepreneurs, dude, he's nuts to everybody because he is. We're all nuts. We're crazy, right? You got to be to do this stuff. That's why I do like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I think it was. He like calls it. He has like meetings with his employees and stuff sometimes. But that's the kind of passion he has, And if you're going to go to Mars, well, you gotta have a lot more than just some rocket fuel to get there. You gotta be insane. But it's like Steve Jobs talks about, right? Think differently, and the world's full of dreamers, the insane, the freaks, the weirdos, right? I forgot the speech, but it's true though. If you want to have impact in the world, people are going to think you're nuts. People are going to think you're crazy, and there's nobody that does great things that's not, that doesn't polarize the world, and you got to be okay with that, and you got to realize that all these people hating on you, right? You got to learn to love them.
Haters are going to be all in your rear view mirror. So the fact you have haters, or even people that sue you, probably doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Well, Sal, it is so awesome having you here in the studio. I've learned so much, and everyone out here are going to learn little tidbits here. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What questions do you have for Sal? What was something that maybe wasn't a moment? Maybe something that you're struggling with, or something that you have struggled with. We'd love to hear, what do you guys think about this? And thank you so much, Sal, for sharing your wisdom. There's a lot of people out there that want to pretend, and they show this fake sort of lifestyle, but Sal Steffano is the real deal, and you should always surround yourself. It's all about people. Always surround yourself with people who have done the thing that you want. So if you want to be a successful agency owner and get to the point where you are not stuck in the crap of the day-to-day operations, look at the systems and processes and things that Sal has put in his life and see which of those items you can knock off in your journey to be able to have the kind of real freedom of your time and money and doing things that you really like to do. Any parting words of wisdom?
Go out there, get shit done, and screw what people have to say, because people are going to be saying shit all the time. I know that's not fancy, that's not elegant, but that's the truth. GSD, right? You just got to GSD, man, and you just got to keep blowing past all the obstacles, because it's never going to stop. The more money you make, the more problems you have, the bigger your business gets, they exponentially get bigger. And that's why you need to have the right people in your business. And if you don't do nothing else, there's one thing I recommend that every single business owner does.
Okay.
And that's pick up the book Traction. By Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because even if you're not going to incorporate all of it, like they're just, most people have read the E-Myth, right?
Yeah.
This book is like the practical version of how to actually implement what they talk about.
That's how you systematize your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So big fanboy of them. Like I don't get any money from it or nothing like that, but it changed my life. It's when I took about a 4-year hiatus from business and just did sales, it's what motivated me and encouraged me to get back into business, because it showed me, that I was a visionary and I was missing the integrator side of the business, and it really, really got me into thinking about systems and processes. So
Amen.
That's a number one most important business book that if you don't read nothing else, read that book.
Boom. So Sal, how do people find you?
So you can find me on Facebook, guys. Look me up on LinkedIn. I have an Instagram. I don't really use it too much. Probably looks kind of dead, but just look me up on social. You can Google, find more information about me. And just reach out to me. You can also email me at sal@socialmarketing180.com. And be more than happy to chat with you. And there's a lot of you guys that are struggling out there, and it's like I don't have time to talk to 1,000 people a week. But when somebody is hurting and they come to me genuinely and need some help, a lot of times, man, dude, if somebody's just honest with me and tells me that they're struggling, dude, I won't even charge you for advice.
Yeah.
But if I'm not charging you and I'm helping you out, better take the advice and do it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna have no more to give you.
Yeah. That's the trouble with free advice.
Absolutely. Exactly. And that's the thing. If you do stuff for free, that's why you learn that you got to charge people for stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I do what I do to help people out. And the best situations for me, people to work with, if somebody has a business that you're already doing well, but you want to do great, and you want, you believe that there's some things that can be done better, or you just maybe don't even know what the thing is because you're so involved. One of my best skills is I'm able to look at somebody's business, that bird's eye, view, outside perspective, let you know exactly what you need to fix. And typically what I do is, add a complete risk reversal to it, where, hey, I don't get paid until I solve that problem for you. So when I'm working with the right people that I actually enjoy working with and I want to help them, I know that I actually get people results, so I don't need to get paid on the front end. That being said, I do get paid out more in the back end in those deals, but that's because you're not literally
take the risk.
I'm taking all the risk. If it's not successful, whatever we're doing, I'm not getting paid, and I'm not the money that I've invested in the labor.
Yeah. You can try that too if you're in the right position.